Salutations, utopians. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this Kawhi Leonard returning back to Toronto, where he won that unbelievable 2019 championship against all adversity after missing time, basically unintentionally finding himself at war with one of the most storied franchises of all time. People questioning his injuries, his desire for the game, um, questioning his heart. And next thing you know, it became him versus one of the diamond standard franchises of all time in any sport, to no part of his own, and coming out victorious. Um, Today's trade, however, what it took for him to return home was Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 1 pick swap, and 2 second-rounders. Um, you know, Kawhi. Unfortunately, I think a lot of this had to do with um, the Aspirian case. Um the Clippers are still under investigation. I've already expressed my disappointment in how they're being treated. Um, Simple case of a franchise that's in the shadows of another franchise. So because they're not as tapped in as other franchises, more legacy franchise, I feel like the law is being applicable. You can't tell me that this hasn't been going on. Gilbert Arenas has been on the record saying he was offered things off the record to go to the Warriors. And, we'll never see a franchise like the Warriors, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Knicks. You know, um, Throughout history, there's been players who've signed contracts that you go, he took that much money. And, like, that's a little sketch. That's a little below their market. If you really wanted to get curious, and so um, I just found it to be disappointing what franchises getting the enforcement on. And if anyone can afford it, it's obviously Steve Ballmer. He's got more money than 27 of the NBA owners combined. But it's a little disappointing to see the rules apply only to some and not others. It's commendable what both parties did, even though the Clippers never won a ring, trying to take a franchise that's been in the shadow of probably the most decorated franchise in the NBA and one of the most valuable franchises in all of sports. Every year was in the top five until recently, in the Forbes list of most valuable franchises. I'll say this much, I still consider Kawhi going to the Clippers a success. They went further than they ever had went as a franchise, making it to the Western Conference Finals. That's nothing to scoff at. Also, with that being said, him returning, they're trying to rebuild. Um, Says something about a guy when he doesn't want to run it back, but he's willing to help go back and rebuild. I think that's pretty cool. They had a great relationship. He just was fiending to be back home to LA, and he got that. And now, I think he's fine with going to Toronto, especially with everything going on. Um, Scotty Barnes, quickly, RJ Barrett. That's the nucleus. I like their pick in Bradley in the second round. Jamal Sheed showed some promise. Jacoby was nice. Uh, on the Clippers end, Grady Dick time ran out with the Raptors. He can go to the Clippers and try to reestablish himself. I think part of the problem was they were trying to make him a spot up shooter. And so he's a guy who actually has a wide palette of skill set out there and wasn't allowed to really show his entire game as time went on, as they continued to load up that roster. So it'll be interesting. They also re-signed Tracy Jackson. I think he was a great pickup at the trade deadline, but for whatever reason never got the minutes. The Raptors were one of the more better fast-paced teams. I don't think Kawhi influences it on either way, even though his defense might lead to more transition buckets. But they got a little bit more stability. Brandon Ingram, though it was a positive and they had a nice run, there was elements of his game where he drifted a little bit at times. He had a very disastrous playoff showing. But for him, ironically, the Lakers had LeBron, and he was a Laker, and he was supposed to be the franchise piece. And then when LeBron signed, he became the main piece in getting Anthony Davis. Same day LeBron announces he's leaving, is the same day uh, he gets the news that he's getting traded back to LA as a franchise piece. But this time with the Clippers, it all seemed to work out. New arena, a team that's in dire need of a young bucket getter. I like what the Clippers are doing. They swapped out Garland for Harden for Garland, basically getting guys who are almost you know carbon copies of what they have, but just younger versions. We'll see what they do with John Collins. Derek Jones is still under contract. They got a great player from Penn State at center. Brook Lopez returns. He's one of the best stretch fives still in the game. Uh, you know, you add Grady to what they already have in Keegan Wagler. Um, this is a team that's reconstructing, but I think they also re-upped Benedict Mathurin, who led all bench scores in the second half of the season in terms of bench points. So him coming off another six-man role easily can make sense. Ingram has got a franchise to himself. I thought it was cool seeing him in the All Star game playing in Los Angeles. Now he's really home full time. That's great for him. I'm happy for him. It's a feel good story for all sides. I think everyone got something out of this win win. Um, Clippers are a good team. Are they going to win a playoff series? Highly unlikely, but this was a step in the right direction. They just got to hope the hammer doesn't come down on them. All right, Utopians. Hope this video was informative. I'll try to do better next time. Global out.